So good afternoon, everybody. Joseph Miranda, broker and owner of Miranda Executive Realty. Thank you so much for showing up for our latest session or our latest training of Ask the Broker. This is our elite deep dive training that we get into to help our agents do better out there. So before we jump into it, we're going to take a moment for a shameless plug. Shameless plug is for any agent that is not an agent of Miranda Executive Realty. So if you like what you hear, if you want to learn more, if you're curious about what we can do to help you take your business to the next level, please scan the QR code and we will schedule a confidential meeting so that we can discuss more how we can help you take your business to the next level. So today we have what I believe to be a very important training. This is a training that I think a lot of agents can benefit from, that a lot of agents can improve themselves and their business on, and it's going to talk about preparing a property to list. You know, we as agents, or even the consumer, they see a lot of properties out there, or they're looking at a lot of properties online, at the different portals and the different websites, and we've all seen them. We've seen properties that, it seems to be common sense that, they should have done this, or why did they do that? Why did they paint the walls that color? Things that to us may be common sense, but to others maybe are not, right? And common sense is not always all that common. So today we're going to talk about how to set the home up, how to assist the owner in setting that home up to give that property the best likelihood of not just selling, but selling faster and selling for top dollar. If you don't mind, at the end, we will do a question and answers. If there's any questions, or if you have any thoughts on something that we missed, an area that, that we should have discussed that is pertinent, we're happy to take any feedback on that as well. But please jot them down and save them for, the end of this training. So quick disclaimer. So I am, the broker and the owner, Miranda Executive Realty. I'm a licensed real estate agent. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a property inspector. I'm not an accountant. So, anything outside of the realm of real estate, just know that, these are just opinions. This is not me giving any type of legal or accounting advice. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump into it here. So why do we prepare? Right? There's a saying, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. Right? So anytime we're going to talk about selling a home, we need to have a plan, right? We've done a lot of work already with, the first few steps: lead generation, lead follow-up, right? We've gone on the appointment. We spoke to the owner. We decided on a listing price. We've presented our marketing plan. The owner likes our marketing plan. But if we just throw the property out there the way that it is, we might be leaving money on the table, right? Whose money? Well, what should be the owner's money, right? What should be the seller's money. But maybe if we don't get that money that's sitting on the table for the seller, well, that stays with the buyer and that remains the buyer's money. So why do we do this? Because first impressions last a lifetime. If they pull up to the house and they already get the feeling that it's not well maintained, if you've shown houses for any level of time or for any amount of time, you've seen buyers that, you pull up to the front of the house, and after just seeing the outside of the house, I've had buyers, there's no reason for us to go in. And that's a terrible feeling for the agent, because now you have to call the other agent and cancel the showing, right? And now the sellers, who maybe didn't know better, know otherwise, right? Because if nobody told them, maybe they didn't know, right? But you have to tell them, well, they don't want to see the house. Why not? Well, after seeing the outside, they don't care to see the inside. That's terrible. Right? First impressions matter. The minute they walk in, the smell, everything about this, it matters, right? Showing a better home helps the buyer to better envision themselves living there. It gives the buyer a better feeling of maintenance, a better feeling of cleanliness, right? Who wants to move into somebody's poorly maintained, dirty home, right? Nobody wants to do that, right? It's going to enhance the seller's satisfaction. Their house is going to show better. It's going to be cleaner. It's going to be more prepared. Hopefully better prepared than the other homes that the buyers are looking at on the same day, and it's going to help this house stand out. right? Less stress and hopefully higher offers and more money, right? That's the goal. That's, the outcome that we're looking for. So what do we do when we go on the appointment? Right? We want a listing appointment. We want to make sure that we have at least a little bit of information about the house, about the neighborhood, certain things. We're going to do a little bit of recon, right? Because we want to know this property in this neighborhood inside out. So what are we looking at, right? Key features of the neighborhood, key features of the home, any renovations. If you know how or if you don't know how, you should do a permit search prior to going on an appointment or prior to visiting the home, because you need to know if that brand new kitchen, if they pulled a permit for that or not, right? If they didn't, you might get them into some trouble when you put the listing out there and the city or one of the neighbors decides to call and file a complaint. So we need to know these things up front. Should know the age, definitely need to know the neighborhood and the comparable sales data, right? And what are common questions that people have about this neighborhood? These are things that you're going to do to prepare, right? Because when we put the property on the market, we're going to have a list of key features and key details of the home that's going to include some of these things, right? New roof in 2016, impact windows all the way around, right? Full hurricane impact credit from the insurance company, right? CBS home, things like that, right? These are your selling features. These should go in an attachment on the MLS. These can be printed. These can be left at the actual listing so that the person that comes in can see all the features and details, all of the hard work that's been done in this home, right? Another thing you might ask yourself is, how do we find potential problems so that we can be proactive about it to avoid some of these pitfalls down the road? Well, if you have a contact with a property inspector, which if you don't, reach out to us. We have some we can recommend. But you can do a pre-listing home inspection. This is better for larger homes where, it can be overwhelming walking through, looking at, everything all at once. Large 2-story, 3-story homes where we can't readily see the roof, right? Where there's things, it's just too much. And maybe the home, this is also good for homes that have a feeling or an appearance of deferred maintenance, right? You can have a home inspection done on a home before you put it on the market. Because once it's on the market, it's on the market. Once you get a seller or a buyer, once you get a buyer and the buyer submits the offer and they inspect the home, it's too late to be proactive. Now we're reactive. There's certain homes that you may want to consider doing a pre-listing home inspection on. Do you need to do that for every home? Absolutely not. Right? But there may be some value in it. It could be the best $300 or $400 that a seller spends, because you can take care of some of the key items up front. Items that, may be deal breakers, items that, may scare buyers away, right? Just visually looking at things just looks scary, but maybe it's not that bad, right? What are some of the elements that the inspector looks at, right? There's a few very important areas that this property inspector is going to look at. If we're walking through, if they're not going to get the home inspection, pay attention to these areas, right? So you're walking through. Look at all of these areas. These are important. Electrical, right? Are there broken or unworking electrical outlets? Lights that don't work. Maybe you just need to change a light bulb, right? What are these? We're looking at the electrical system. Maybe open the panel. Look at the brand, right? There's certain brands that are uninsurable because they combust. Zinsco, Federal Pacific, Sylvania. If you see like red, white, and blue, pink, all these different colored breakers inside the panel, that means that property is going to be very difficult to get insurance on, right? Prepare the seller for that. Can you be proactive and change that? Now, down the road, we're going to talk about mechanical and structural items in our recommendations on it. We don't always recommend, replacing things, but some things you're going to need to replace. And a faulty electrical panel is one. If you can't get insurance, you can't sell the house, right? Or you can't get insurance. I'm sorry, let me take that back. If you can't get insurance, you can't get a mortgage. So if you sell the house, it's cash only as is. Which, what does that do? Less money. right? Because now you narrowed your buyer pool. As you're walking through, pay attention to plumbing. One thing that's really, really simple with plumbing that I notice everywhere all the time is it's just dirty. Open up underneath the kitchen sink, underneath the bathroom sink, right? Maybe they had an old leak. Maybe it's not leaking anymore, but they didn't clean up. Or the pipes are just dirty, right? Clean the pipes. Literally just go down there or have the owner, not you, unless you want. I wouldn't do it, but but go in there with a bucket of water and some mild bleach, a little bit of bleach, and clean the pipes, right? It's amazing the difference that just clean pipes makes, right? It's going to make the plumbing look newer, fresher, more updated, right? But clean is very, very, very important. Another thing that we see is, the pipes behind a toilet, the valve, and the supply line. Make sure those are clean. Make sure that's clean. Polish the faucets, right? Clean off the gunk that builds up around faucets, right? It's nothing wrong with any of these things, right? They live in the home. They've existed there, right? They've done their best to maintain it, but now they want to sell it, right? Would you sell your dirty car, or would you clean it first, right? Would you leave the rims with brake dust and grime all over them, or would you clean them? You clean them. Polish your plumbing, right? Make sure the electrical looks good. Broken switch plate, it costs like 65 cents at the Home Depot. Go buy a new one, put a new one on there. These are small, simple little things, right? HVAC, same thing. Air conditioners get filthy, right? I'm sure we've all changed out our AC filters. Number one, make sure that's changed out. But number two, looking at the AC filter, a lot of times the air conditioner looks like the filter when you change it out. Wipe it down. Turn off the power, right? Turn off the power so nobody gets shocked. Have them turn the power off, and then wipe it down. Get all the dust off of there, right? Just clean the entire air conditioning unit, right? Inside and out. Outside you can spray with the hose, right? But make sure that your mechanical systems, right, you are clean and functioning. If they're clean and functioning, then there's nothing more to do, right? Structural, right? Make sure that structurally this property appears or is sound, right? You're going to walk around the house. Are there areas of settlement, right? As you're walking around the house, do you see, the little staircase, the stair steps coming down the side of the house, showing there might be some settlement? Is it normal settling, right? If it's normal, then that's okay, right? If it's a 45-year-old house and there's a hairline crack, that's normal, right? Everything settles, right? We settle, we sag with age ourselves, right? You can't fault the house for doing that. But, would you fill those in? I would. There's a method where those cracks can be cleaned out and filled and painted. Match the paint, right? Because what's the point of doing all the repair and then, the paint ends up being a different color and they look at it and they know you did the repair. Make it so that you can't see that repair was done. If it is actual settling and it's a problem, then you probably need to get a structural person in there, right? You need some sort of engineer or somebody to do something to maintain the pilings, to make the pilings, to support that area. It's going to get caught sooner or later. Address it up front, right? Irene, we got to go to the next slide, by the way. Roofing. Don't replace the roof unless you have to, right? Again, we're not talking about replacement. We're talking about repairing things. Your house has to be mechanically and structurally sound. If there's a leak, it might be able to just be replaced. A roof's one of those areas, all of these areas, mechanical and structural, these are areas that every home must have. Literally every house must have a roof over it, windows, right? Air conditioner, running water, electricity. You don't need to replace any of these areas. They just need to be functioning. So a roof, we just listed a house, it had a filthy roof. Before we listed it, we got a pressure washer in there to pressure wash the roof. They bought this house just less than a year ago, right? They had to sell it because they had a life change situation in their life, and they bought it with a dirty roof. I believe we sold it for a much higher price because we advised the sellers to get a pressure washer, a professional pressure washer, go on the roof, clean the roof, not only clean the roof, but then also repair all of the cracked tiles after they pressure washed it. That's a huge area of the house. When you pull up, that's part of your curb appeal. Is the roof clean or not? Even if it's this was a tile roof, but even if it's an asphalt roof, there's a special cleaner that you can run over an asphalt roof. If there's stains, there's watermarks, if there's, color differentials in that roof, there's a cleaner that you can spray on there. It'll get all the mold off the roof, because mold does build up on some of these roofs. You do that. Windows and doors. Again, we're not replacing windows and doors. If you don't have hurricane impact windows and doors all the way around, it probably doesn't make sense at this point to replace them. Same thing as a roof. You're not going to get your dollar for dollar value back, but they should all operate and function properly. You have the old aluminum windows and they stick, right? There's a special lubricant that you can buy at Home Depot. It's like $6. You spray it and it helps them to slide better. If the locks are broken, just fix them. Same thing, $6 at the Home Depot, put a new lock on there, right? If there's little components that are missing, maybe see if you can get a handyman to come in and repair those components. Buyers aren't looking for brand new windows necessarily to be installed. They would love it, right? But when they do the inspection, the inspector wants these windows to open and close properly, right? Screens, make sure there's no holes in them, right? Repair any holes, repair anything in the screens, right? These are small little repairs that make all of the difference. The home inspector should be looking at these things. The home inspector should catch these things. What else? They're also looking at the exterior of the house. They're going to walk around. Like I said, the settlement cracks, right? They're going to look at that. Paint. Does the house need to be painted? Has it, is it sun faded because it hasn't been painted for 35 years, right? Are there areas of like water pooling in certain areas where all you have to do is a little bit of grading, right? Go buy a little dirt and a little bit of sod, put it up against the house, and now it's going to move all of that away from the house. It's just simple. These are fast. This is easy stuff, right? The interior. Paint is a huge thing on the inside of a house, right? Is there, are there areas that the walls can just be clean, right? Over time, dirty hands, little kids, right? Maybe it can be clean. Maybe it can just be touched up, right? Or maybe the whole house does need to be painted. It hasn't been painted for years, and when it gets painted, they always use a different color in every room, right? Think about, how does this house feel as we're walking through the house from room to room to room? There should be a feeling of flow. What helps with that flow? The paint, right? Consistent colors throughout, right? Not vibrant colors. I get it, the baby room, the baby boy want to be baby blue, and the baby girl, we want it to be pink, but maybe that doesn't help sell the house. Can those rooms be painted a more neutral color? White or gray? Those are my recommendations for colors. Tan, beige, not a fan of those colors. Flesh tones, not a fan, right? We're going to look at the interior. Light fixtures, right? Things like that. Damage. An old roof leak that the leak was repaired, but the damage inside the house wasn't repaired. Fix that, right? There's no reason to draw attention to something that is no longer an issue. We're not covering up problems, right? We do everything legal, ethical, and moral. As you're going through these, maintain your morals and your ethics. We're not covering up a problem without addressing the problem, right? We're cleaning up where maybe a problem was previously. There was a drip or a leak, right? Attic. There's no basements here. Maybe there are. I think that I saw some in like Miami Lakes. You've seen some house there. They got basements, but for the most part, there's no basements here, right? But just make sure. Attics do get mold. That's a big deal, right? Moisture, right? You're going to want to walk through or have the inspector walk through, check the moisture levels in these areas, right? So we've talked about the mechanical. The important thing with mechanical is that that your mechanics are operating properly. Mechanics and structure are not areas where you want to invest money, right? Mechanics and structure, you do have to maintain those. You do have to take care of those. They do have to be functioning and operating, because that's where the home inspector is going to catch it. That's where the home inspector is going to find the problem, and that's where we're going to have to come through. We're going to have to negotiate. But what you really want to focus on are the cosmetics, right? What are cosmetics? Cosmetics are things that make your house visually appealing. Cosmetics are what sells a house, right? They say kitchens and bathrooms sell the house. This is where the majority of our budget should be spent, if there's a budget, right? What kind of budget do we have? We have sweat equity. Homeowner's going to do a lot of work. Maybe us as an agent will come in and help them. Maybe a spouse can come help them. And there's checkbook equity. Hire somebody to do it all, right? First, take care of all of your mechanical items. Make sure everything mechanical, clean, and working properly. Doesn't mean you need to replace it. If it's broken and beyond, repair, then yeah, it probably needs to be replaced. But if just because your AC is 35 years old, doesn't mean you need to replace the air conditioner. Is it cooling properly? Are the temperature differentials within a proper range? Then there's no reason, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right? If it's doing that, then just clean it. Make it presentable. Make it look good. Now, the buyer likely will come as part of the inspection and say, we want $4,000 for a new air conditioner. And then as a listing agent, we'll look at them and we'll say, well, why? Why would we give you a credit for a new air conditioner when this one works just fine? Well, it's going to break. Is it? Is it going to break? Maybe, maybe not. Tell you what, we'll offer you a home warranty. Right? We'll give you a home warranty. If it breaks in the first year, it's covered. Right? But if it doesn't, then, then we saved ourselves $4,000. Or tell you what, give you $1,000 credit for that air conditioner because it works. And from my experience, buyers want to negotiate on these standpoints. Oh, we're going to put an AC in as soon as we close, but they don't. They're going to give that air conditioner 3 or 4 years until it finally does go out. Then maybe they'll replace it. Right? But they don't turn around right at closing and schedule the AC guy, pull the permits, and put the new air conditioner in. They wait. Right? But when your mechanics are working properly, you take that leg of the buyers negotiating away from them. Because that's what the property inspector is looking for. They're looking for mechanical and structural issues. They don't look at cosmetics. They don't say, oh, well, we're going into the fall season and, well, they've got spring colors painted on the wall. Right? They don't say, well, these old antique brass light fixtures are out of style. They went out in the 90s. Right? If those old antique brass fixtures from the 90s are still working, that's all the inspector looks at. Right? When the buyer's property inspector, or when the buyer comes in, right, and we have that conversation, when the buyer's property inspector finishes, and if the agent comes to us and says, oh, well, we need $25,000 for a new kitchen. Why? We don't like the cabinets. Didn't you see the cabinets when you wrote the offer? Didn't you see the cabinets as we were negotiating? Cabinets didn't come up as an issue in the inspection report. You should have already negotiated those kitchen cabinets in the very beginning. We don't negotiate based on what we saw. Right? An agent doesn't negotiate based on cosmetics of a house. Oh, well, we need to repaint, the 2 bedrooms because one's baby blue and baby pink. Well, didn't you see that? Didn't you know you had to do that? That's not an inspection issue. That's a cosmetic issue. You don't negotiate cosmetics. We don't like the hardware on the bathroom cabinet. I don't care. Didn't you see it? It's in the pictures. Right there. We didn't cover up, this ugly hardware. It's not a negotiating issue. Right? Mechanics and structure. Those are the negotiating issues. Cosmetics, not negotiating issues. Cosmetics are what make you money. Right? So what's the first thing that we want to address cosmetically? The first thing a buyer sees when they pull up to your house, curb appeal. Makes all the difference. It makes all the difference, And it's simple, right? Curb appeal is not a difficult thing. This can be a very simple weekend sweat equity for the homeowner that's on a budget. All they need is some shears, maybe a bucket of paint, right? Make sure everything's trimmed, cut, right? Fresh mulch. How much is, we bought mulch. I think we got like 10 bags and it was like 30 bucks. Right? Mulch is cheap. Throw mulch everywhere. You see a bed of whatever and it looks ugly, throw a bunch of mulch in it. Instantly, it looks better. Right? It looks cleaner. It looks, more put together. You don't have to buy stone. You don't need river rock, right? Unless you want to. That's the look that you're going for. If there's already something there, if there's already a stone there, yeah, you're not going to throw rock, or you're not going to throw mulch on top of it. You go buy another bag of that same rock or similar, right? And then mix it around. Because those rocks have been there for a while, so they're probably faded. Right? Pressure washer. Does your neighbor have a pressure washer? Do you have a pressure washer? Right? A little bit of bleach and a brush with a pressure washer goes a long way on a sidewalk. Right? On that same note, you have a blacktop driveway. Costs like 60 bucks for a thing in that car, I think. 60, 80 bucks. Right? Spread it around. Simple to do. Right? Paint. The front door is huge. We always talk about the red door, right? Because you want the house with the red door, right? Paint is where you can add some sort of like vibrant, some sort of pop color. Red, blue, green, black. Make that house stand out. Oh yeah, the house with the blue door, right? Make it stand out. A lot of houses have shutters. They've seen better days. Just paint them, right? Potted plants make a huge difference. The lighting. Lighting's huge. If you don't want to do lighting, that's okay. You don't have to do lighting, but at least make sure your exterior lights work, right? So these are simple things. I talked about the roof already. When people pull up, right, what's the first thing? Pull up. As an agent, pull up to the house. What do you see? What do you like? What don't you like? Too many trees, too many plants, then thin them out. Shears and loppers goes a long way, I'm telling you. Sweat equity over the weekend, it's gonna be a whole different house, right? Do all of the demolition on Saturday and come in and put it all back together on Sunday. Right? It's gonna make a huge, huge difference. Edging the sidewalks. Maybe get a landscaper for that little bit of time to make sure that somebody's coming every week and able to maintain it. Right? Do the work, and then don't let that work go to waste while the house is on the market. Make sure that it's maintained. Right? Keep the hedges trimmed. You should be able to see windows. You should be able to see all the lights. Right? If your hedges are covering your windows, they're probably too big. Right? It should be below the windows. Why? Because that's blocking your sunlight from the inside. Right? And people want to look out and they want to see what's going on out there. Right? You want to block something, put it farther out away from the house. Right? And then the lower hedges, lower everything's going to give your home a feeling of elevation, of height. Right? So now you're inside. Right? So the outside curb appeal's all done. House looks great on the outside. Wow, look at that, it's amazing. You go inside, it's still the same house. Right? We fixed the windows, we fixed the switches, we did a few things, but it still looks the same. What are you gonna do? Declutter and depersonalize. This is the hardest part. This here is absolutely the hardest part to selling a house. Because we as agents, we can't do a lot of this. Right? Like, and this can be very hard for a homeowner that's lived in this house for 30, 40, 50 years. Their families live there, and it's been this exact way the entire time. Right? They've really got, but you know what? This is also part of moving. Because all of the clutter has to go somewhere, right? It's going with the owner. What do you do? What do? You decide, am I going to keep it? Am I going to donate it? Or am I going to throw it away? That's it. You're going to keep it? Great. Let's get some bubble wrap and some boxes with some tape. Let's throw it in the box. Right? This too, same thing. Right? What about all that extra furniture? You got to go somewhere. Right? You got a big family and a small house. You got 3 sofas and a recliner. You barely fit in the living room. There's no room for anybody to walk through. Is there room in the garage? Maybe the garage needs to be organized. We got to make some room in there. We've done it. Right? That living room, you better feel it. Closets and shelves. Closets are huge. You got a big walk-in closet, but it's full of clothes and shoes and boxes and storage. Got to be organized. Right? You want space. Pack up all those extra clothes. Pack up all those extra shoes. Storage. Put it in the garage. Get a storage unit temporarily for these things. It's going to be worth the investment. It's going to be worth it. 100% it's going to be worth the investment. No question about it. Right? Get rid of all of these extra things. Anything that's not used. Personal items, get rid of them. The awards, the trophies, the plaques. Right? What about family photos? Take those down, right? They can't visualize their family living in the house while looking at your family. Right? What about your plate collection? Your Bradley Exchange plate collection from, the 90s. Right? They got to go away. They got to go away. What are your rewards? Your rewards for, whatever, all of your achievements, your college degrees, all that. Put it away. They can't visualize themselves living there looking at all of your achievements. Michael Jordan's house set on the market. It just went. As of this, I think it just went under contract. I think it was on the market for like, I don't know how long, 6 years. Right? Michael Jordan. If his house ain't gonna sell, people knowing it's his house, people ain't gonna care about your PhD and whatever. Right? Old colors. Right? Anything, any sort of theme. Your owl collection in the living room. Put the owls away. Love owls, right? Who doesn't? But they have to get put away, right? Is the wall full of art? Is it full of art? Well, thin it out a little bit. Let the wall feel the wall, right? Feel the wall, right? You have to be able to see the walls, right? All of these things, right? Once all of this is done, right, we're going to walk through again. So you did all the declutter, all the depersonalization. Again, this is the hardest part. Walk through again. Are there any repairs that you missed? Is there anything that was missed? Now that, 2 out of those 3 sofas are off the wall, do we need to go in and touch up the paint on that? Right? Was there an outlet behind there that we didn't even know existed? We realized that, it's broken. We need to fix that. Once all of the paintings and the pictures and the awards, all of that's off the wall, we need to fill in the holes, right? You pulled out all of the cleaning supplies that are underneath the kitchen sink, and you realize that there was a leak and you didn't realize it, but the floor in that cabinet buckled. That should be fixed. That should be taken care of, right? Because we want to have a home that gives a feeling that it's been well maintained over the years, even if it hasn't. You can take a house that's been totally deferred maintenance and abused and cluttered for years, and you can make it feel like it's been well maintained for years if you have a plan. There's no reason why not. All right, so you've gone through this list. You're done to declutter. You got some more home repairs taken care of. Well, guess what? The house is going to be dirty because they lived there. Where that sofa came out, they ain't been vacuumed or swept underneath that sofa since they lived there. We need a deep cleaning, not a regular cleaning, a deep cleaning. Right? Wipe the baseboards. Wipe the baseboards. Maybe touch them up with some paint. Right? Make them look clean. Make them look good again. Right? Ceiling fans, blinds. All of these things collect so much dust on top of the refrigerator, in the seal inside the refrigerator, inside the refrigerator, the freezer. Stage your refrigerator and freezer. Organize inside there. People will open it, believe it or not. Right? Stage inside your cabinets and cupboards. Right? Make it look like, make your cabinets and cupboards, make it look like a grocery store. Line up all your green beans and your corn and your whatever else, and and then down here, front face everything. Make it look organized. Organize it. Right? Wipe down as you're moving this stuff. Throw away all of your expired food. Clean out your cabinets. Clean all out. The food that you ain't gonna eat, if it's not expired, donate it. Give it to somebody. Somebody will eat it. Right? Pull out the stove. Right? Clean your oven. Clean the microwave. Bathroom. Again, we already talked about cleaning the plumbing. But make sure that the vanity, the sink, polish the chrome, double polish.
I just recently had a problem, Joe. I just recently had a problem with a
yeah, we'll come back to that, Lisa. Give me one moment here. We'll come back and we'll talk about that. But all of this cleaning stuff, toilets. we'll get to this in photography in a second, but toilets need to be super clean, number one. But number two, make sure when you get to the photos that the lid closes, right? So all of these things, make sure that, they're taken care of. Once you've done all this, now you stage the home, right? Furniture is huge. Where does the furniture go? Does it fit? Does it look right? Does it feel right? Put it there, give it a day, let it settle in, see if you like where it goes, right? This is a case where less is more, because less furniture is going to make the room feel larger, going to feel more, more spacious, right? And make sure your furniture placement, this is very important, that so when a person walks into a house, right, and grocery stores have this down to a science. They know when you walk into a grocery store what direction they want you to go, right? Go in and go to the right, and then they're going to direct you towards, whatever it is they want you to see first, and you start grabbing all those items and putting them in your cart, right? Because your budget has unlimited potential at that point because you've not spent anything, right? And then by the time you get halfway through, you're like, oh, holy cow, we better start cutting back on, what we're spending on, right? If you have a budget, right? So same thing with the house. Arrange the furniture in a way that you want the property to flow. Arrange the furniture in a way that you want people to go, or the direction that you're naturally drawn to, flow it that way, right? You wouldn't block, if you want to go from the living room to the dining room, or the dining room to the living room to the dining room, whatever, you don't want to block that walkway. You want everything to flow. It needs to flow through, right? When choosing colors, neutral. Now you can add some pop and some pizzazz and things like that, and kind of throughout as you go, some flowers. While you're staging, there's going to be certain nicer pieces of vases and certain things that we're going to keep in there strategically to break it up, right? Because you don't want just a bare all white vanilla room. Lighting is huge. Right? Are the lights outdated and old? We talked about it before. Replace the fixtures, right? But also make sure that everything is working properly. And additionally, make sure that you don't have dark areas in the room. Maybe a lamp can go in that corner, right? To give it, oh, that's such a dark corner. There's hardly any windows over there in that area. Well, lighting is huge, right? Make sure that it's well lit, light, bright, and airy, as we've heard. Everything should be organized. Whatever your system is, rule of three, put it in a box. We shouldn't see all of whatever. Just everything should be in a box, stored away in a drawer somewhere, right? And then you want to make sure that as you're setting things up, you're drawing the eye to key features, right? If it has an ocean view and you have a way that they can open the door and the first thing they see is that vast ocean view, wouldn't that make sense? As opposed to, blocking that view so people can't see it, right? This is where your own creativity has to come into play. When we say staging, we don't necessarily mean hiring a stager to come in and spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on doing these things, or hauling in and loading up with their own furniture. We want to use what's already there, right? Because we're talking about preparing a house on a budget. Right? Not some huge investment to get this house ready to live. It needs to be done on whatever that customer's budget is. Right? And they can do a lot of this on their own. Right? Another thing that we don't have in here is rugs. A lot of times I remove the rugs, we roll them up, we take them away, because that flow in the floor makes it feel bigger. Right? And a lot of times rugs can get kind of dirty and dingy anyway. But regardless, we want it to feel, this right here, use this as your guide as you go through. Furniture, right? Make sure it flows. A rug is furniture. Does the house feel like it flows? Roll the rug up and see what it feels like without it. Right? Just see. And leave it like that for a day or so. Even if it doesn't feel right, leave it like that for a day. Come back, look at it after that. Right? What else? Well, we just made another mess. Okay, clean it again. All of this is very dirty. Clean it again. There's one rule here. Clean sells. Clean will always sell. Right? If you have a worse house, but it's cleaner than the best house, you stand better odds, right? Clean will always sell. Nobody wants to move into somebody else's filth. Do you? I don't, right? So now we put all of this time, all of this, what's hopefully just a small investment of money, all of this effort and thinking into it. Don't blow it when it comes to getting photos, right? I know that, the new iPhone, what is it, 16 is about to come out, or maybe it already did. Some people already have it. And I'm sure, the cameras that it has on it are absolutely amazing. But you can tell the difference between photos taken on a cell phone compared to photos that were taken by a professional photographer who knows how to edit those photos, right? Number one, the shape. If you're taking photos on your phone and they're going to be the shape of the screen of your phone, you've already lost, right? At least change it so that it's going to have that proper aspect ratio. But number two, if you don't have the software, or you don't know what's the proper height for a camera to be on, if you have a camera on a tripod, right, and you're shooting a kitchen, what's the proper height that camera should be at? If you don't know that, then you shouldn't be taking your own photos, right? Photos are our one opportunity to advertise a property to a customer that's looking online and get them into that, to get them to call their agent or to call you, depending on what website it's on, to schedule an appointment to see the property. If you don't sell them in those photos, then you may be losing a customer, right? Your first 6 photos should be your best, right? Everybody has a strategy when it comes to photo placement on their listings. My strategy is your first 6 should be your best. After that, you can flow through the house, right? You can do it from the entrance into the dining room to the left, the living room to, straight ahead. The office is over here to the right, kitchen is through here, right? And then finally we get outside, and this is all of the exterior photos, then we get to the drone photos and whatever. That's fine. But you have to capture your audience quickly. If you put the best photos at the end, they might click through to the next property before they got to the key feature and highlight of that house. Another trick that I use, if I'm not getting showings, but I feel like my pricing is right, I'll shuffle my photos. I'll take the first 6 photos and I'll move them back a little bit and I'll throw some new photos in the front, right? Because what I think might be the best feature of the house might not be what the buyers in today's market think are the best features in the house, right? Now we've got a house ready to go, right? We've done everything, mechanically, structurally, cosmetically, right? We've laid it out, right? But what are some things, what are some pitfalls? What are some areas that we need to avoid, right? Number one, hitting it, right? Don't replace mechanical items that don't need to be replaced. Don't put new windows just because one of the windows is sticky, right? Don't think that, oh, these are aluminum windows and buyers want, all impact windows. If you do just the windows, you're likely not going to get that money back. Impact windows are really expensive. Every house needs windows, right? Some buyers don't even recognize that this house doesn't have impact windows, right? Now that's not, just because it's important to one person doesn't mean it's important to everybody. Don't replace them just to sell your house, right? Let the buyer later on come back and try to negotiate it. Now that, $28,000 set of windows and doors that you were going to put in, maybe you only had to give a $10,000 credit for it, saving yourself $18,000. Right? Structural, again, don't replace the roof just because it's dirty. If a roof is 45 years old but there's no leak, why would you replace it? It's not leaking. Let the buyer come and negotiate that, right? Don't remodel your kitchen and your bathroom just because you think it's worth it, right? You're going to spend $40,000, $50,000 on kitchen and bathrooms. Maybe you didn't have to do that. You could have just gave them a facelift, some new hardware, maybe a new countertop, a new backsplash. If they're solid wood, you could stain them, you could paint them, you could whitewash them, right? There's other options. You don't need to redo all of these things, right? Now, if it's a flip house, maybe you do. You come in your gut, you rip everything out, and you want to put all brand new everything. But this is not a flip house. And I'm sure the seller has a budget. We have to remain within the parameters of that budget, right? So, you know, they're not going to walk in and say, oh, these are old cabinets. Can they be refaced, right? Refacing is still expensive. I don't know if I would recommend it, but maybe, depending on what the doors look like, right? And making sure they're still strong, right? Overstaging a home, right? Don't overdo it. Simple, simple, right? Keep it simple. Staging needs to be simple, right? Not decluttering effectively. This happens because we get scared to tell our customers our opinion, that that shouldn't be there, right? Like every man, right? I love electronics and speakers and all of these things, right? But sometimes we have to tell the customer, like, yeah, there's really no reason that we need to show this house with 25 speakers in just the living room. We need to do that. Can we put some of them away? Maybe all of them, right? There's things where we need to be strong. Why? Because we're the professionals. We're the professionals. We've seen the photos. Make sure that your listing doesn't end up looking like these photos that we hate. Spotty remodeling. Number one, it's not shoddy. I mean, we don't want shoddy remodeling, but spotty remodeling. Get a house from 1978, all original, and the vanity is bad in that bathroom. So they remodel that entire bathroom. Now it looks like a house that was that bathroom looks like it belongs in a Miami home that was built in 2020. You got the 70s house, and then you walk in and you take one step into this bathroom and you step into the future. It doesn't flow, right? So make sure if remodeling does happen, that it remains consistent throughout. Same thing with light fixtures. If you have a living room, dining room, kitchen, all open floor plan combination, you wouldn't replace just one or two old light fixtures. They need to match throughout the entire area. It can't be spotty. It has to go through the entire area. So consider that when you're doing these things, right? A brand new kitchen looks great, but if the shag carpet from the 70s is still in the living room, the kitchen's going to lose some of that appeal. Sometimes remodeling is all or nothing, right? But there's no reason why we can't just upgrade and update these things, right? Curb appeal, we talked about it. It's huge. It's huge, and it's an area that's often overlooked, but it's huge, right? True green, get them in there. Make the lawn green. It's like $60 a month or something. I don't know, it doesn't cost much, right? People not wanting to spend money. Penny wise and pound foolish. I get it. We're all on a budget, right? Groceries, gas, everything costs more money. Our mortgages, insurance, it all costs more money. But by the things that I've discussed here today and that I've recommend doing, they will make that money back and some. This is an investment. They're not spending money, they're investing money, right? Maybe they don't realize that it is an investment because now they sell their house for market value when before they would have sold it for below market value, right? But this is an investment. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, look, if we can just allocate $4,000 to do all of these things, you're going to realize a return of X dollars over, which is going to be a return on your investment of X percent, right? Wrong colors. This has happened. It's happened to me. I've advised the customer to paint their house gray. To paint the inside of your house gray, not a dark gray. Make sure it's a light gray. But I wasn't specific with this customer. Gray is not gray. White is not white. Gray has undertones of other colors in it. And I walked into this house, and during the daytime, it's blue. At night, it's gray. But in the daytime, it's blue. And I walked in, and I said, I said, paint the house gray. He goes, oh, this is gray. This is not gray, dude. This is blue. You just painted your whole house blue. Blue's fine. Don't get me wrong. The slides are blue. Our logo is blue. Right? There's nothing wrong with blue, except when it's an entire house, right? You hear the saying, feeling blue? Means you're sad, depressed color. Right? Be careful, because gray is not gray. White is not white. So now when I tell, now when we do a house, we have certain specific colors and specific brands that we recommend, right? Use this gray from this store. right? And spending more money than necessary. They have a budget. They have a budget. Stick within that budget. If everything that we talked about here is going to cost $7,000 and they only have $3,000, then figure out how to make that work, right? And don't go overboard. You got to redo the floors. Maybe you don't need to do porcelain tile throughout. Maybe you can just do, some nice luxury vinyl laminate over top of the floors that are already there, and we ain't got to rip them up, right? So here's what we're looking at. How do you prioritize where the money goes? Structural and mechanical have to come first. Those items have to be working right because those are the items that are going to bite you during the inspection, right? Roof and windows, that's part of that, right? That's part of the mechanical system. Air conditioner, electric, plumbing, all of that's part of the electric, and it will bite you if you don't address it, right? Curb appeals and minor updates. Curb appeal is really important because sometimes that's when the buyer is going to decide, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go in that house because I see how it's maintained on the outside, right? Minor interior updates. Once they get inside, they better feel good enough that they want to see the rest of the house. We've seen it too. They get in the house and they're like, I don't want to be here. You're like, well, you got to walk through because the seller's here, which, by the way, the seller shouldn't be there. We'll talk about that later. But, you got to walk through. You got to do the dog and pony show now. We're here. Do it. They walk through and they're not happy, right? Don't disappoint buyers that come to look at your listing. And then after that, right, if they have the means to do it, you could talk about bigger upgrades, bigger things, new appliances, right? New countertops, new backsplash. You can talk about all of these things. Make sure everything works first. Make sure the rest of the house is visually appealing. Because your best money isn't always spent, ripping out a kitchen and putting in a brand new kitchen. You got to think about the whole house. This is a holistic, right? At the end, it all depends on the seller's budget, right? If they have the budget, cosmetic, luxury upgrades, and even better, make it a smart home. You know how easy it is to make a house a smart home today? It's so easy. Like there's companies that you could buy all of their products and you download one app, and the lights and the stove, everything, right, is all smart. Right? The sprinklers, the pool, the stereo system, the speakers, like literally the entire house could be smart. A couple $1,000, depending how savvy the person is, right? So now where are we? Showing day. We did all of this, right? What's the first rule? Well, we should probably talk to the seller and ask the seller if they can be scarce. If you know anything about professional fighting, and you're looking at these two gentlemen right here, you see the buyer's gloves. Well, it's not really wearing gloves, right? Now, Irene created this slide, and I don't know if it was intentional or not, but this buyer is not playing around. The hits from this buyer are going to hurt a lot worse than the hits from that seller. You do not want the seller home when the buyer comes through for their showing. Why? Because we want to control, right? We're the agents. We want to control the environment. We want to control the response, right? We want time to think about it. If we know the answer, great, we'll answer it. But if we don't, or if we're not sure how to answer it, let me go back to the seller, and I'll get back with you on the answer to that. And then we can figure out how to answer that properly. When the sellers are there, buyers don't feel so comfortable walking around, right? Like you're in somebody else's house and they're there, right? Maybe they're cooking. Maybe they're doing these things, right? Like whatever it is. Sellers, in my opinion, should not be there. They do not lend value, right? And the other thing is the smell. Smell is huge. If you walk into a house, it doesn't matter how clean it looks, doesn't matter how clean it feels. If it smells dirty, if it smells gross, if it smells whatever, that buyer might walk right back out the door. Make sure it smells right. Febreze air fresheners with the Gain scent are the absolute best things that you can buy to cover up a smell. Febreze, not Glade, not Airwick, Febreze. There is literally something in Febreze, as we've known from the 90s since this thing came out, that it actually takes the odor out of a room. Febreze. Right now, again, we're not covering things up Well, let's just say the day before they had a fish fry, right? And they fried a bunch of fish in their kitchen. We know it's not going to stick around. Let's help them let's help them get rid of that smell a little bit faster. I'm not getting paid to endorse these air fresheners, but they absolutely work. We manage Airbnbs, and every once in a while, our guests want to break the rules and they want to smoke weed while they're there. Well, these Febreze air fresheners get that smell out of the room, right? So use them. Febreze is amazing for scent, right? We want to smell the house. We have to smell the house. Smell is part of the entire sensory system, right? Look, feel, hear, touch, taste. We're not tasting a house, but everything else probably might smell. So, and you can also put on some music, right? That's another, another one, right? But the smell matters, really important, right? Make sure, by the way, that they can't smell the house through the photos. And you know what I'm talking about. You look at a photo and you see a big dirty old rug and there's a big German Shepherd laying in the middle of it, panting, right, on some old carpet. You know what that house probably smells like. They might not go look at that house. So make sure when you're doing the staging, people can't smell the house through the photos either, right? So what else? Bonus, right? What comes after all this? Well, don't drop the ball after all this. This is a lot of work. There's a lot of knowledge and a lot of brain power. A lot of coordinating just went into all of this to get us to this point. So don't drop the ball here. Follow up, right? Follow up, number one, with your customer. Give them feedback. Let them know how it went. But before you do that, follow up with the agent. Hey, how'd the showing go? Is your customer interested in writing an offer? Our job is to sell the house, to bring in an offer. Our job is to take this house from where it is to that one next step, then to the one next step. We don't need to be 7 steps ahead. The next step, you saw the property. Do you want to write an offer? No, we don't. Well, why not? Right? What didn't you like about it? Seemed overpriced. It looked great, showed great. Seems overpriced. Well, what would your buyer be willing to offer? I don't know, but they just said it's all. Send me an offer. Send me an offer. I don't care what your offer is. I'll present it. Right? Because that got us to the next step. Now we can negotiate. Do that. Right? I see a lot of agents, showing time. A lot of agents, they showing time automatically sends out feedback. Right? And then they get mad because their automated message didn't get responded to. Well, I didn't see you pick up the phone and call the agent that bought it. Why would the buying it or that showed it? Why would the buyer's agent go through any extra effort if you didn't? This is automated, right? My responses aren't automated. Pick up the phone, send a text message, send an email. What do you think? Give me feedback. Help me make this listing better. What did I miss? We're all human. We all miss something. What did I miss? Help me make this better, right? Address it, whatever they said, right? And then just make sure, no matter where you're at, no matter what you're doing, you're selling the key features of this property, because every property has something great. Every property has greatness in it. And that's what we need to sell. That's what we need to do, right? And as we're doing all of this, make sure you're highlighting the greatness. Why? Because if you create an unforgettable experience for a customer, you're going to have a customer for life, right? When the customer knows that, wow, this person really knew what they were talking about, they really knew what they were doing, they're going to come back to you. They're going to give you referrals and recommendations, right? Don't be the agent that walks in and, okay, yeah, we can sell this for this price. Here's the listing agreement. Okay, cool. I'm going to come in with my iPhone. Actually, you know what? Let me go take pictures right now. Right? All right, cool. I'm going to have it in the MLS by tomorrow. Might you be able to sell it for more money if you had a plan, follow through on the plan? Might, when you're sitting at a listing appointment with the customer and you present this plan, might they see a little bit more value in you compared to the other 3 or 4 agents that they've interviewed? I think yes. Yeah, this is it, right? Oh, you're interviewing 3 or 4 other agents. Okay, well, that's good to know. I'd like to apply for that job if you don't mind. I'd like to come and visit your home. Let me tell you my plan for how I will make you more money at closing, right? Have any of them presented a plan to help you make more money, or have they just told you how amazing their marketing is, right? Oh, They're going to put a Facebook ad of your crappy photos that they took on their iPhone with the toilet seat open and the German Shepherd laying on the rug. Wow. Tell me more about that, right? Have a plan. Right? Thank you, guys. Appreciate everybody for showing up. I really hope this was there was some value in this for you. I was actually excited to share this one because I see too many listings out there. I see too many photos of listings that it just shows that it looks to me like the agents just don't care, right? And that's not serving our customers properly. We want to be serving our customers properly. We want to work at a high level, and we will make our customers more money, and they see the work that we put into it. That's going to lead to a customer for life. So, before you go on your next appointment, or, before you put your next listing up, I hope that you take some of these things. I hope even if there's just one thing that you can use. I'm hoping a lot of this is already being implemented and being done. But if there's just one more thing in there that makes your listing a little bit better, it should lead to more money, should lead to a faster sale. It should lead to a better customer experience. If you're not a real estate agent with Miranda Executive Realty, we'd love to meet with you. One final shameless plug before we end here. Please scan that QR code. We'd love to set up a confidential one-on-one meeting with you and just let you know more about what we can do to help you take your business to the next level. Join us in 2 weeks. We've actually got a special treat in 2 weeks. We have a hard money lender that's going to talk about hard money lending, the requirements, the criteria, the different things. And, hopefully this will open up another avenue of properties that you can present to your customers. If you have investors, people that, that invest in real estate, this might be a good one to invite them to. This is a hard money lender that I've used myself. This is the hard money lender that I refer to my customers. So I think this is going to be a very valuable training that a lot of people can use, and hopefully it leads to us making more money and making more sales.